When I speak to creative people, they have in their minds a million reasons why they can't. It's all just practice. Embrace the cringe. It doesn't matter if you can give it 10% or 100%. Just show up, do the work.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Scroll Stop podcast. My name is Tom and I'm the director here at Scroll Stop. And today I'll be taking a step away from the mics to let our creative in residence for April, Alex Harrod, have a chat to former Triple J host and current content creator mogul, Erica Mallet. So kick back, grab a drink and learn something about getting over Cringe Mountain. Hello.
Hello. Hi. How's it
going?
Look, I'm good. It's a pleasure to be on the mics with you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the ring with Mike Tyson or someone that knows way more than me. I'm way out of my depth, but it's actually quite nice to talk to you. We've been circling around for a couple of months, so finally get to meet you and hear about your style and what you get up to.
Yeah, I can't believe we met on Airtasker.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you called me another name or you thought we were on another platform or
thought we
something.
were on another platform.
Yeah.
I could have really embarrassed myself there.
Yeah.
I did embarrass myself there, but
No, you go.
turned out all right, I guess, because you invited me to this.
Yeah. I mean, this is a bit of a got your journalism. It's embarrassing people on Scroll Stop podcast. So I'm the creative in residence here for this month. And as part of that, I wanted to have some chats with local Sydney creatives, which is you're one of the first people I reached out to, really.
Cool.
You know, Tom here is trying to create a place, sort of like a meeting place for creative community in Sydney. And so I guess I wanted to get you in just to like, excuse to meet you, really. But also to hear about, you know, your approaches in your work and how you found, as someone that wears 6 to 9 hats, how you're going at the moment and how you see things going. But yeah, what are you up to at the moment? What's on your plate each week?
Well, as you said, I wear lots of hats. That's kind of been my problem my entire career, is that I can't choose one and glue it on. It's really hard to do. I think a lot of creative people probably have the same struggle. It's like, I don't know if it's quite shiny object syndrome. I mean, look, it probably is. I just get excited by so many different things. So I'm always trying to do a million things at once. But right now, the official title is an ambiguous one. It's creative consultant. So I tell my friends that and they go, what the hell is that? And I go,
Yeah, that's one of those jobs where you can't just like, there's always a follow-up question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm fully prepared for it. So creative consultant, essentially helping content creators and businesses be more creative in their approach to building communities and impacting culture, and specifically through like social media, because I'm a content creator myself, through social media and creative ideas and being real about it. I hate to use the dreaded A word, but authentic about it.
Okay. So is it like how to be creative in terms of certain mediums so they can't express themselves in that medium? Or is it more like for people that are creative trying to monetize that a bit more and trying to not be like, you know, the repressed artist in their little edit room or something?
Totally, a bit of both. So content creators, well, let's just say this, copy culture is pretty out of control on social media, like on TikTok. And it feels like people who want to be content creators or who are creative people who want to promote their creative projects on social media, they just feel like they have to do what other people are doing. You know, they think they have to do the dancing, shake their ass, whatever it is.
That is just like, no, that is like the quintessential brief. It's like, we want something fresh. No one's ever done it. Show us 6 examples of when you've exactly done it.
Yeah.
But we want it to be the first time anyone's ever done this.
Yeah, totally. Right? No one's willing to take a risk anymore. And I'm even noticing that I obviously definitely notice that in brands, but I'm even noticing that in individuals, in content creators. People are so afraid to step away from the crowd, step away from what's being done. And it's just like when you show them, oh, no, you can do that. Like this thing that you wanted to do, your intuition that told you to do this thing, you can do that. Just because no one's done it doesn't mean that it's something you shouldn't do.
Because there's part of it where it's like, you don't, like, where do ideas come from? So it's like, we're like 6 minutes in. This is way too
Hit me. This is my shit.
It's not really your choice, right? It's like, most of my mates, because I went to uni at ANU, and most of my mates are like a bit more traditional, like professional services or law or whatever else. And so when I try to describe, sometimes you sit down at a desk and it just doesn't happen. if it just doesn't come, like, what are you're just wasting time. Fuck, are you talking about? But then it's not really, I see like it's not your job to choose if the idea comes. It's your job to sit down and just you try to get it done, but it either comes or it doesn't. But if like you're saying, maybe the idea comes, but you want to justify it before you execute it, then you're not really going to explore anything new or maybe not creative.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny with creative ideas. Every like really truly good creative idea I've ever had, I feel like I've unearthed it rather than made it. Like I don't know if you get that feeling when you have a really good idea, but I feel like I've just happened to, like, it already existed and I just found it. I can't really yeah, do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah. Like I feel like the biggest thing I need to do is get out of the way.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you. It's making itself.
Yeah.
Or it's like fishing, right? You didn't invent the fish. You just caught the fish.
Yeah, man, that's deep. Put that in a soundbite.
Or my mates are like pinching their nose, like, shut up.
And I believe that every person has this creative intuition, and I think that it gets drummed out of us at some point in our lives, whether it's through like the schooling system or whatever it is. I think, when people tell me I'm not a creative person, I go, shut up. Yes, you are. Everyone's creative in their own way. It may not be what you typically think as creative. Like maybe you're not picking up, paints every weekend and you're not, I don't know, making music, but you are creative in some way. And I think that everyone has this intuition. So when I work with content creators, part of that work is like getting in touch with I call it the glimmer, like what is your version of the glimmer. It's that little feeling that you get, that buzz in your chest. And everyone has a different version of this. What is your version of this? And I think the process of content creation is so underrated for this reason, because it really can help you explore this about yourself. It can help you explore the way that you communicate ideas and execute, creative visions. And a lot of the work that I do with content creators is just like helping them figure out what that means for them.
Do you have like exercises or like, do you have like questions that always like keep, right in the soul or something? How do you get people to
Unless that's like
No, absolutely. I got exercises on exercises. Like that is, yeah, no.
So say if I was like paralysis or something, or just like refuse to let go of something and refuse to like publish or whatever. It wasn't ready. How do you get someone to,
Yeah, I got an exercise for that. Don't worry about that. Well, I think a lot of
I'm not actually doing that right now. Sorry. So or should I get some free advice actually? But
I can give you free advice for sure. No, I'd love to. I think what it comes down to, I've noticed that when a lot of people are overthinking, like they're in this state of paralysis, what it comes down to is the fact that I call them frictions. They have like 1,000 little frictions. And frictions are things like, for example, if I wanted to film a video, but I kept telling myself, no, I need a good microphone before I film that video, or I'm not wearing makeup right now, so I'm not going to film it. Like these tiny little excuses or barriers between us and actually just doing the thing, doing the work. And I call these frictions. And often when I speak to people who are creative people and they're overwhelmed, it's because they have in their minds a million frictions, a million reasons why they can't. So part of what I do with people is like help them unearth. You've got the friction, and then beneath every friction is a tension. So the friction is what it is. And so, for example, a friction might be, I don't want to film in front of my partner. He's always home, so I can never film. And that's the friction. But the tension is really, the underlying reason is that I'm scared to film in front of people because I'm worried that they're going to judge me. So a lot of the work that I do with people is like pinpointing these frictions and then going, is this a real or perceived problem? And more importantly, what is the tension underlying this friction?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's like proper therapy.
Yeah, no. Actually, one of my students said, this is like a therapy course. I wasn't ready for this. But so much of creativity is therapy. I sound so wanky, but it's true. Like the more in touch you are with that part of yourself, I think the easier it is to be creative.
Do you think you can have a career then and not do that sort of deep dive into yourself? Do you think like you know, there is a big correlation, right? With like having like a kind of shitty childhood or like having, you know, some like things you're trying to figure out and it comes out in a certain medium, like comes out in music or whatever else. Do you think you can like, I don't know, is anyone well balanced and making things?
Oh, I mean, I watched this dude called Alex Hormozy. He's a businessman. He's a bit of a bro, bit of a douche, to be honest. But every now and then he says something really interesting. Yeah. And he said, if you wanted to make an interesting person, would you choose to put them through things or would you choose to give them an easy life? And I was like, that is an interesting question. And it's not to say that people who have had a really easy life are not interesting people, but I do think that being challenged with things makes you think in ways that you wouldn't have to otherwise.
Necessity, right?
Yeah.
So, what is it? Mother's invention or necessity, whatever that line is. Man, like it's nice in retrospect, right? It makes heaps of sense. You know, you got to push yourself beyond where you are, put enough weight on the bars and you grow, etc. But when you're in it, right, it's like, God damn. When you're out in the uncomfort zone, I always think of it. It came up in our first talk where I'm living in Paris at the moment, and it's great. And I just booked my flights back today. I leave in 2 weeks.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Cool.
Finally, full triggered.
Hell yeah.
Full triggers. And so we're going back and going back this time, feel a bit of momentum. You know, we've got some mates there. The Olympics are on this year. Got a bit of work with that, and it all looks quite promising. And like, you know, the basics and the language and all that kind of stuff, but not like the first time. First time was so unknown. And we were talking about when you move to a new place or you try something new. It's always the J curve. Like you start and then you finish up here, and it's like always a worthwhile experience. You ever talk to someone about their year abroad or whatever else, they always talk about the highlights, the glowing, whatever else. But the first few months is always down. And when you're in it, it's really hard to remember it. Like, no, this is part of it. It's par for the course. It's always -5 and then +10. You get there. But then, yeah, that grind, or maybe it's like, maybe I'm thinking about it because of what you're talking about, like that friction point or something else. So you just like hold on to that as opposed to, you know, it'll pass. The storm always passes. Every barrier always passes, and you just gotta ride it out. Do you see anyone you work with that's like ready to just give it away and they come to you, or are they? Yeah. Did you see anyone, or have you seen anyone in all your time? I mean, the dropout rate is like pretty high, right? If you're going to try this career, have you seen anyone just give it away, and have they been at peace after giving it away, or have they always had this like itchy, like, oh, what if I just gave it a few more once?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm trying to figure out from what angle to answer the question, because I come from the music industry, and music is cutthroat. Like 3% of people make it. The fact that people are brave enough to dedicate their lives to trying to do this thing, you know, in any creative profession, it's always going to be a risk as to whether you make it or not. But in music, it's like, oh my God, like a respect to you, honestly, because I used to be a musician, and there was a point at which I had to go, do I think that the bigger why, the bigger vision is strong enough, compelling enough, is enough of a North Star for me to keep going through this? And ultimately I decided, no, I don't think I was brave enough to go full throttle into music. I always had like a million things on the back burn, as I guess maybe, if I'm being honest, as backups in case it didn't work.
Was music number one, or at the
for a
time?
while? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
For a while, music was absolutely number one. But, you know, I think I didn't have that inherent, like, there's no plan B. I'm just going for it. And there's no choice but to succeed. I didn't have that. And I think that's honestly what it takes to make it as a musician. And so I have a lot of friends who, like, yeah, they dropped out of the race because they probably, like me, went, shit, I'm scared. This is scary. The chances are not great. And I think it takes a bit of work to be okay with it in the end, because if that's your dream, it does take a lot of readjusting, recalibrating to be okay with a new life. And what does that look like if you're not aiming for this amazing vision? What other amazing vision are you aiming for?
Yeah. I guess like what's the point of where you think like, oh, okay, I've made it. Is that does it never come? I mean, I feel like, again, it's so closely tied with like psychoanalysis or something, all this stuff, right? But it's like, okay, now I can just like relax. I'm a musician. Does that ever come? Like after your first album reaches a certain amount of sales, if you could pay rent, if you know, is there a point, or is it always?
I don't think there's a point. I think the goalpost will always move, you know? Yeah, I think always in probably any creative career, it has the possibility of doing, but I think creative people are especially hard on themselves in that regard. And yeah, my ethos is Cringe Mountain Academy. And this is the concept that everyone who is now good at something had to at some point be cringe at it and not be very good at it. And that's what it takes to get to the other side of Cringe Mountain. And this is kind of like a filter that I apply all of my training through with content creators, because it's amazing how readily people give up. They go, I posted 10 videos. It didn't work. What? Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, people underestimate the volume in the creative process, not just in content creation, but in all creative fields. People underestimate the volume and the sheer tenacity and grit that it takes, like repetition through the bullshit, through the badness that it takes to actually succeed. And it's probably a lot to do with like expectations that people have from seeing things online, whatnot. It's closely tied to social media and the lies we're fed through that. But people just expect it to happen straight away. And, you know, my whole thing is just don't play the game to win, play the game to keep playing.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the metrics, it does feel like the metrics have to change in terms of, you're saying you've got to be grit and you've got to be willing to, you know, be cringe, as you put it. It's very like Montaigne or something like that. Not the musician, the philosopher, not the musician.
Okay.
But I think that's who she named after. That was like her favorite.
I didn't know that.
Like the whole idea was like be willing to, you're a fool, but everyone's a fool. Don't be too worried. And I think he used to like walk through the main street in like silly pants. It's just like, like
silly pants.
I'm sustained by your insult.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Both the silly pants and the hate feeding me, I can get behind. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it does seem like you change the metric, because if it's going to be, okay, I'm going to do 100 videos and then I'll be happy, you're never going to be fucking happy. So, but it's like the person that falls in love with walking goes further than the person in love with a destination, because like you'll be unhappy to get to the destination.
Exactly.
If you're just happy like sitting at the desk, even on those bad days, you're just happy sitting at the desk and trying to work, whatever else, then you've already won. That sounds... I'm doing the cringe.
You're doing the cringe, but you're climbing Cringe Mountain. It's not necessary. Yeah, I like it. I have 4 golden rules in my creative life. I wonder if I can remember them all. The first one is it's all just practice. Everything that you do is all just practice, and it takes the pressure off the thing that's right in front of you, because, you know, the thing that's next is just around the corner, and that's going to be practice as well. So the first one is it's all just practice. The second one is to embrace the cringe, of course, as we've just spoken about. The third one is just show up. Just show up, do the work. It doesn't matter if you can give it 10% or 100%, so long as you just show up. And what's the last one? I think I've forgotten the last one.
You're the last one!
Last one can be... the only thing you have to do is die, so don't worry.
Oh, I like that.
It's only thing you have to do. Everything else is a choice.
Yeah, a bit grim, but no, I like that.
I knew this was I'm just like quoting Rick Rubin and talking about debt. This is like all my mental get figures I know is right there. It sounds awesome. And it sounds like, it does sound like a bit like therapy, but it also sounds like a way to actually connect with people and actually talk to people. Do you think you're having like proper conversations with these people as they like try to explore themselves? And I don't know, it almost sounds like maybe there's a bit of, you don't want to spill stories, whatever else. So like no names and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like client confidentiality, whatever else. But do you feel like you're connecting to these people or they're really going through this process? That must be really rewarding if someone can get through whatever barrier they have, or what do you call them? Tensions and...
Frictions and tensions. I just remembered the last rule. It gets to be this easy is the last rule. It gets to be as easy as you say it is. Anyway, that's the last rule.
Oh, eventually, like the end in mind. Like if you go through the cringe at all.
No, it's just like a creative ethos. It's like, it's as easy as you want to make it. Like you can obsess over something and, not put it out because you didn't have the exact right, I don't know, camera or lens or whatever. You can sit on something for 10 years if you want to, but you're making it hard. You can just put it out if you want to. You can film it on an iPhone if you want to. It gets to be this easy. It's just another rule. But to answer your question, I do see changes in people. Yeah, it's amazing, how I think you can hold a vision for people, and I see potential in everyone I work with. I think that everyone has potential. I think it's about whether they choose to recognize that or not. And I think often when they work with someone who holds that vision for them, they realize that, oh, I can do this. Like, it's so lame, but it's often a lot of self-belief combined with obviously like the techniques and strategies and things that I'm helping them learn. But a lot of it is just like showing them actually you can do this if you want to. It's there for you.
Like no one's really telling them they can't do it. They're just sort of telling themselves.
Yes.
Being mean to themselves.
Yeah. Critical voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that right?
Totally. The critical voice, it can ruin your life if you want to, if you let it. And a lot of people don't even notice it. They don't notice that it's running their thoughts. Definitely, I have trouble with it. It never goes away. It's always going to be in the back of your head.
Yeah. Do you feel like that drifts on all, like what you're saying is kind of like stuff I know already and then I've forgotten. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. A lot of the stuff that you sort of, the way you describe it, it's like nice. It's like an old idea in a new way that's going to stick a bit better.
Mm.
But yeah, do you drift yourself with this stuff?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. And I always struggle between, I've always wanted to be the creator, but often I feel like I have to be the teacher as well. Like teaching these things to people when I just want to be practicing these things instead? Anyway, but I definitely drift. Like the reason that I've come up with like Cringe Mountain Academy and helping creators and creatives through these things is because I've struggled with it myself my whole career. Like struggled with the feeling of being judged, like the fear of what other people think of me. I've let that control me. I've shrunk myself because of it. And I didn't want to do that anymore. Life's too short.
Nice. And then I guess you got to teach it, so you sort of reinforce where you have to live it yourself.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Got to live it. Well, got to live it before you can teach it. Sure.
Yeah. So you've got a consultant hat.
Mm-hmm.
What else has gone on this year? What's in the back end?
Yeah, so I'm consulting for content creators as well as for businesses, helping them come up with like cool social media advertising campaigns. I also love advertising. I think it's a really interesting time right now because advertising is being forced to be more entertaining, and that's going to be fun, I reckon. And then my own creator hat myself, and also writer. I have a newsletter that I'm writing. It's called Cringe Mountain. And yeah, I'd love to turn that into a book one day. But again, I'm very conscious of doing that thing that I always do, going, I want to do this and this and this and this. It's like, I think I can do it all, but not all at once. That's what I've figured out. But I'm always tinkering with music in the background and, collaborating with my creative friends on cool projects, things like that.
Do you find when you project switch, I find if I switch to one thing, my brain has a good idea for the thing I'm not meant to be.
Yes, yeah, that happens to me all the time.
And then it's like, that's the hack is like to do something else. And then even if it's like, I don't know, cook or something. Like all my best ideas come in a shower after a run or whatever, right?
I was just reading about this. It's called mind wandering. And the reason that we come up with better ideas in the shower or when we're cooking dinner is because I think it's called I'm going to get this so wrong, called the neural mode network or something in our brains only activates when we're engaged in a task that isn't directly thinking. So it's a task that connects many different areas of our brain. It lets our brains relax and make connections that it wouldn't usually make if we were consciously thinking about it. So there's an actual neuroscientific reason that
sounds correct. It sounds
I hope you bought when I said
purchased.
It's definitely a real thing, and it's often frustrating because you're like, why can't I just do the work when I'm looking at the work instead of when I have it in my peripherals, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Do you teach people that? Or is that
I don't go that deep. That's more of a personal frustration.
that's just more you get frustrated at the page.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question I'd ask everyone. Or two questions I ask everyone. What's something you used to believe that you don't believe you changed your mind about in the last couple of years?
Oh, hard question. I've done a lot of changing in the last few years. I'm just trying to think of a specific thing. Self-belief, I think. I think I used to believe that if you are talented enough, people will notice and they'll come and give you opportunities. But what I've realized is that you have to build it first and then they come. No one's coming. No one's coming to discover you.
Very talent.
No, nobody's coming. And you can't sit there going, but I'm so good at this. I'm so talented. I should get this. No one knows that. No one knows that about you. So that's probably something that I've changed belief in the last few years. And I'm just more at peace with that now. I guess it's easy to get cynical about that. Well, it was back then, being like, I'm doing all these things. Why isn't it working for me?
Yeah.
But really, in the end, you got to take radical responsibility and just be like, I'm the person who is going to do this or not do this. It's all on me. If it doesn't happen, it's my fault. If it does, then it's my fault. So, yeah, just
That's nice. It's the blame might not be yours, but it's your responsibility anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no one coming to pick up the responsibility. No one else is coming to do it.
It's all on you. Yeah. If you want it, then you have to go and get it. To boil it down to a very simple sentence. Yeah.
I used to think something similar, just focus on the work and the money will come. I used to say that. I used to bang on about that. And it's really good for developing your craft and your skill set and whatever else, but no one knows who you are, and you end up being this tortured or I should be rewarded or I should be, whatever version of that is. It's not 1 + 1. It doesn't really work. You shoot your shot, but then something's out of control anyway. So you got to, I used to think about the amount of time on the tools and the ideal situation is to be 100% on the tools. It doesn't really work, right? Whatever the number is, it might be 50% is business development or networking or whatever else. But then it's kind of nice because you're doing it with people as opposed to just being locked away in a room and you're honing this thing.
Absolutely.
There's definitely a balance. I've probably gone through something similar
the
last couple of years.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know, if I'm analysing it, it's a control thing, right? Because you can control how much you work and you can control what else. But if you do 50% that and 50% you have to work with other people or trust other people or something, then you're really making yourself vulnerable, right? And,
spot on.
The lines.
Yeah, even the fact that you can recognize that that's to do with vulnerability and control is huge, because I think a lot of people wouldn't realize that that's what's going on there.
Massive coward. Just need the control. Can't trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last question that I always ask someone. If you do the same, if you get paid, if you get paid the same amount you're doing, which like, I feel like this doesn't really apply to you that much. If you get paid the same amount to do anything, what would it be? Dream brief, someone comes to you this next year, you're going to get the same amount of money, but this is what you have to create.
This question is really hard for me because it changes so often. But if I could, this is a bit of a cop-out answer, but I just want money not to exist so that I can go around and work on my little creative projects, whatever they are. I just want to, 1 week be making a TV show, and the next week be making music, and the next week be writing a book. I just want to do what I want to do without money existing.
Freedom to explore different projects. I mean, to be honest, mate, it sounds pretty similar to what you're doing. Just maybe it's slightly different, but it seems pretty close. You seem like you
Thanks. I'm glad it seems that way. Look, I mean, that's the question again. Like, as you said before, will it ever get to the point where I feel like I'm there? I'm not sure, but I can recognize that I'm closer than I was a few years ago, for sure. Yeah.
I'm getting some time. I think this is the scroll stop is about 30-minute podcast. So I think we're about at the end of
absolutely.
That was really nice. We got on weeds.
We did.
There's gonna be some bad clips. Some good clips for some like really great. God, I told you about Montaigne.
I don't even know who Montaigne is, but he wears silly pants. That's as much as I know.
Yeah, he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
Which I think that's why the musician named himself that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Unless I'm way off. This is going to be
just making stuff up.
Yeah. There's a statue of him at the Louvre. Around the main square, they have. Well, here's a little tidbit. When the revolution happened, one of the most French things ever, one of the things Francophiles lose their mind over is they have all this artwork at Versailles and the Louvre, like what to do with it. They were like killing people, chopping heads off, whatever else. They didn't burn it down, the art. They didn't do anything. And then they sort of gave it back to the people. So the Louvre was opened up not for the aristocrats anymore. And then all the statues around that main square, they aren't kings or royals or anything. They're all the philosophers and scientists and mathematicians and all the people that helped create the French culture. So Montaigne is one of the statues there.
Damn, there you go. Bit of history lesson. I'm going to be in Paris in a month. Oh, what? Yeah. What are you doing there? Spending 2 or 3 nights with some friends and my partner, and then driving from Paris down to Rome for a month, for 3 weeks.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's a good road trip.
It's a good road trip, hey? It's like 20 hours or something. It's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. We should catch up when we're in Paris.
Yeah, let's get a red or something. We can share the picture. They can post the follow up. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Also, how do you get in these things? Is there anything else you want to shout out? I'm going to shout out where I can find your stuff or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm what am I on TikTok? And I've got various accounts, but generally across the board, I'm Erica_Mallet on TikTok or Instagram. You can find me there.
Awesome. And Cringe Mountain?
Cringe Mountain. Yeah, my newsletter, Cringe Mountain. You can sign up for that. Just Google Cringe Mountain. And yeah, talk about creativity, content creation, and mindset every week.
Get out of the roadblocks and
just do the thing.
Yeah.
Do the damn.
The 4 rules.
Yeah.